Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today is the same as usual. I'm going to be doing my TBR game to decide what books I'm going to be reading for the month of November. First, let me go super quickly through the books that I have read last month. I'm not going to go into detail because I did try this month to do something different, and you'll have a video that is basically a reading vlog of the entire month where I'm just telling you about these books that I'm reading while I'm reading them. So you will have that if you're interested in knowing more about these specific books, but I'm just going to tell you what I read in October. So I ended up reading a total of 8 books, which is quite a feat for me because if you've been following me for a while, you may know that this year has not been a good reading year so far. I've just been struggling every month, and sometimes I give up completely on my TBR. Sometimes I've not even made a TBR because I was like, I don't think I'm in the mood to read books that I've predetermined. So I'm quite happy that I've read 8 books in total. And I think part of the reason why is because I started listening to audiobooks, and that's been really, really helpful. I'm not listening to fiction audiobooks, but I have quite a few non-fictions that I wanted to read, including true crime ones, and I've been managing to listen to these this month. First book that I technically finished in October, even though I started it at the end of September, was The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. I gave it 4 stars, quite enjoyed it, historical romance. The second one was I'll Be Gone in the Dark, which is true crime written by Michelle McNamara and published by her husband after she died because she died quite young, but it's her search for the Golden State Killer, and he was actually caught I think 2 years after the publication of the book. So the book is a more recent edition, and it actually includes information towards the end about the real Golden State Killer that they did catch, and it's really interesting to read this book while you know the facts about the real killer. Then I read The Cousins by Karen McManus. This is the author who wrote One of Us is Lying, so it's YA thriller. It's a standalone book, and I think my only issue with it was that it could have been part of a series, and I think I would have enjoyed that a little bit more, and it felt a little bit rushed, like everything needed to be wrapped up into this one book. But I did rate it 4 stars. Oh, and I rated I'll Be Gone in the Dark 5 stars, by the way. Then I listened to Frankenstein on audiobook and did not like it at all because frankly it's just too old in terms of the writing style for me. I don't really love purple prose, and it's very much just that. And also, unlike what I kind of imagined it would be, because it's Frankenstein and I know more modern media and what we think about it today, I kind of thought it would be more horror. But it's not that much of a horrific story, it's more of a philosophical question type of story where you ask yourself, should man be able to create man like this? And as much as it was interesting, it just wasn't for me. So 2 stars. Then I listened to the audiobook as well of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Kind of in the same vein as Frankenstein, I wanted to listen to classic horror stories for Halloween month, and it did the same thing to me. I was not enjoying it, mostly because although it's quite short, it's more like a novella. The action and the Headless Horseman stuff only happens at the very, very, very end, so it was just a really long-winded story, mostly describing food items that made me hungry and nothing else, so I gave it 2 stars. Then I read The Shadows by Alex North, which is a thriller. It's adult and it's got hints of supernatural at the beginning, but you know that it's an actual thriller, so it's gonna have human explanations by the end. So really, really enjoyed this and rated it 4 stars. Then I read the 4th installment in the Stag series, which is called Tigers by M.A. Bennett. This is a young adult mystery series, and the first one is this girl who goes to a boarding school really for the elite and the rich, and she gets invited over the weekend at some rich kid's house in the countryside, but she realizes that her and the other guests are being hunted. So this is the 4th book in that series, and it still talks about the same cult and everything, so really enjoyed it. The main character kind of is starting to get on my nerves though, so I rated it 4 stars. Then I finally finished The Greek Coffin Mystery by Ellery Queen. I've been reading this for a month and a half. Really took my time with it because I did not enjoy it, and the only reason why I finished it is because I'm reading it with someone else at the same time. But I rated it 2 stars, and I think the main reason is I didn't care about the characters or the mystery being solved. Yeah, you need to care when it's a mystery. You need to actually care, and I didn't. So that was it. That's the 8 books that I read in the month of October. Now that we've gone through them, I'm going to be playing my TBR game, which is called Books Against Humanity. And this, I designed the packaging for this, but basically it's based off Cards Against Humanity, so I have 2 sets of cards. This is the rules at the back, and this is the cover at the front, so that you can see what the game looks like. Basically, I have 2 decks. One is blue and one is yellow. The blue ones are the question cards. They have a blank to fill in. The yellow cards are the answer cards. They fill in that blank. So I give myself a hand. I think in this case, this month I'm going to give myself a hand of 5 cards. And if I fit in some novellas, so shorter books, I will maybe get a 6th card, because I've been listening more to audiobooks and stuff like that, so it's been a little bit easier for me to read more books. If you want to know more, you can check my past videos on this. I have a playlist, and also I usually remember to put the PDF of this game, so if you want to download it, print it and play it at home, feel free. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 answer cards. I have is a 5-star prediction. Then I have is set in the future. And I have is typographic, so this kind of answer card would work really well for a cover question. Then I have I will swap for an holding one, so 1 in, 1 out. Finally has green on it, so that's probably good, because I do think I have some books that have green on them. Okay, so that's my hand. Let's see what I get for a question card. Here's my, no, that's a mood read. I'm skipping the mood reads because I don't have that many cards. A young adult novel, that which could be that has green on it, that is a 5-star prediction, that is set in the future, or that I will swap for an holding one. This has green on the cover, and I think that's the one I'm gonna take. Okay, so I think because I'm still feeling in a Halloween mood, even though this is for November, I think I'm gonna pick Rules for Vanishing. And this fits in, has green on it. So this is a young adult novel that has green on it. Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. Once a year, a road appears in the forest, and at the end of it, the ghost of Lucy Gallows beckons. Lucy's game isn't for the faint of heart. If you win, you escape with your life. But if you lose... Sarah's sister disappeared 1 year ago, and only Sarah knows where she is. Becca went to find the ghost of Lucy Gallows and is trapped on her road. In the sleepy town of Briar Glen, Lucy's road is nothing more than local lore, but Sarah knows it's real and she's going to find it. I'm not going to read the rest because it's quite long, but this is the vibe, and I'm quite excited to read it. I feel like this is very Halloweenish, so even though this is to start in November, I'm still excited to read it. So here's my new answer card. Has yellow on it. Well, that's great. So I've swapped has green on it for has yellow on it. Okay, so my next question card is a book I bought blank, and this does not work with anything, so I think I'm gonna have to replace my whole hand and hope for the best. If it still doesn't work after I replace my whole hand, I may try to tweak grammatical rules and just make it work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have, oh, this works. I have one that works immediately for the cover, so I may very well have to pick a book that I bought for the cover. Has an author whose name starts with a letter, and then I have to randomize the letter. And bought last, so that could actually work if I just tweak it slightly. Then is the first of a new series. Finally, that I have read before. So I think I'm gonna go with a book I bought for the cover, because I have a lot that I just buy because I like the cover. Let's see. This is technically a book that I bought for the cover, because I actually went out of my way to get this cover because I think this book has another one and I didn't like the other one. I was like, no, this is the cover that I liked, that attracted me to this book in the first place. This is a thriller by May Cobb, and here's a little bit of the synopsis. The hunting wives share more than target practice, martinis, and bad behavior in this novel of obsession, seduction, and murder. Sophie O'Neill left behind an envy-inspiring career and the stressful, competitive life of big city Chicago to settle down with her husband and young son in a small Texas town. It seems like the perfect life with a beautiful home in an idyllic rural community, but Sophie soon realizes that life is now too quiet and she's feeling bored and restless. Then she meets Margot Banks, an alluring socialite who is part of an elite clique secretly known as the Hunting Wives. Sophie is completely drawn to Margot and swept into her mysterious world of late-night target practice and dangerous partying. As Sophie's curiosity gives way to full-blown obsession, she slips further away from the safety of her family and deeper into this nest of vipers. When the body of a teenage girl is discovered in the woods where the hunting wives meet, Sophie finds herself in the middle of a murder investigation and her life spirals out of control. So, yeah. I just thought the synopsis sounded fun and the cover was beautiful. I love this blue, and yeah, I just wanted to read this based on that. So this is my second book. Let's pick another answer card. So I'm gonna have has a title in 4 or more words. Here's my next question card. A cover that which, well damn, I shouldn't have gotten rid of that yellow one. Well, a cover that has a title in 4 or more words kind of works, actually. So grammatically this makes sense, the sentence makes sense, so I'm gonna use this as a prompt. Okay, I know. I've been wanting to read this for a while now. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Yeah, I really want to get into the series, especially because I also really want to read the novellas. And I know that they're not the same story, and I could technically read the novellas first, but also I just feel like I'd rather read it in order it was published, just in case. So I'm gonna read this one. When Rosemary Harper joins the crew of the Wayfarer, she isn't expecting much. The Wayfarer, a patched up ship that's seen better days, offers her everything she could possibly want. A small quiet spot to call home for a while, adventure in far off corners of the galaxy, and distance from her troubled past. But Rosemary gets more than she bargained for with the Wayfarer. The crew is a mishmash of species and personalities, from Sissix, the friendly reptilian pilot, to Kizzy and Jenks, the constantly sparring engineers who keep the ship running. Life on board is chaotic, but more or less peaceful, exactly what Rosemary wants. Until the crew offered the job of a lifetime, the chance to build a hyperspace tunnel to a distant planet. They'll earn enough money to live comfortably for years if they survive the long trip through war-torn space without endangering any of the fragile alliances that keep the galaxy peaceful. But Rosemary isn't the only person on board with secrets to hide, and the crew will soon discover that space may be vast, but spaceships are very small indeed. That's it. That's all I know about this book. It's the summary that I just read you. Let's replace my card with a new one. With a friend. Oh, so that would have been a good one for a book I bought. Here it is, an author who, that. So it could be an author I've read before, or technically an author that I bought last, but I think I might just go with an author I have read before, because I have a few books like that. This is perfect. I bought recently this book by Silvia Moreno Garcia. She is the author of Mexican Gothic, which I have read, and Gods of Jade and Shadows, which I have also read and really enjoyed. So this is Certain Dark Things, and I think it's quite short as well. It's like 250 pages or so, and it has vampires in it, and I think it's pretty much urban fantasy. So I love that genre, and she's not written in that genre before, so I'm quite excited to see what that looks like with her writing style, which I've really enjoyed in the past. So this is it. I'm gonna pick this one. Next, I need a new answer card, which is going to be, I really want to read right now. Oh, that's always a good card. Next question card is a genre that which. It could be a genre that I really want to read right now. It could be a genre. Nope, that's it. That's the only thing that it truly works with. So I think I'm going to pick that, a genre that I really want to read right now. At the moment, I'm really enjoying a little bit more of horror, so I think I'm gonna go with horror. And I bought recently, it's not arrived yet, but I have it on my Kindle. I bought Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Coe, and it's a novella, so it's quite short, and it basically is horror, and I don't know, I just really want to read it. Like, I've seen it on BookTube and it made me want to read it, and also it just looks spooky and in the vibes that I'm feeling right now, so I want to read that one. That does mean, however, that since that's a novella, and Certain Dark Things is also a short-ish one, it's 250 pages, I think I should pick one last card to have one last book with. So since I need to replace my 5th card and then pick another card, so I have 6 in my hand and pick a 6th question. So here's 2 new answer cards. There is, was inspired by the last BookTube video I watched, has a title in 3 words. My new question, last question, is a fantasy novel that which. It could be a fantasy novel that is the first of a new series. I don't know that I want to start a new series. that I bought last. I do have something. Or has a title in 3 words, or was inspired by the last booktube video I watched. What do I have in the books I've ordered that will arrive tomorrow? So, I've decided I am gonna keep it as a fantasy novel that I bought last, as my last prompt, and I think I'm gonna pick Into the Drowning Deep, which I'll put here, but basically it's arriving on Monday, so it counts as one of the last ones that I have bought, because I bought a bunch together. So Into the Drowning Deep is, from what I remember, it's horror fantasy. It's basically a crew that is sent to do a documentary about mermaids, but they don't really think they're real, except they all die. And then afterwards we have a new crew that comes to investigate the disappearance, I guess, of all these crew members. And so it's pretty much horror type of fantasy, which I think counts, because fantasy is a wide genre and you have a lot of subgenre in there. And I guess mermaids killing people is horror-like fantasy, so that counts, and I'm gonna be reading that one. So I'm gonna be reading Rules for Vanishing, then The Hunting Wives, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, Certain Dark Things, Nothing But Blackened Teeth, Into the Drowning Deep, and I also need to finish The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, which I've only just started. That's a lot. I don't know how I'm gonna do, because I feel like that's a lot of books. But I'm gonna do my best, and also November is a busy month with work, which means I usually do less things in terms of seeing people after work and, yeah, going out. So maybe that's gonna be a good time for reading books, and it's just gonna give me a little bit more time for it. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment, maybe consider subscribing, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.